Hello and welcome to 1995batman.com. Today we're not looking at Batman for a change. I just want to go through some of the other figures that I've got because I'm a bit of a collector of kind of other figures as well. And one of the things I absolutely love is random forgotten movie figures. Does anyone remember the 1998 movie Virus? They made a ton of figures for that movie, even though no one really remembers it. Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, famously absolutely hates it and thinks it's her worst movie ever made. It's a kind of like weird hybrid of kind of Terminator and Aliens about this signal from space which infects a Russian naval vessel and turns all the inhabitants into kind of really gory cyborgs, like half man, half machine. Yeah, you'll remember it, don't you? It had Jamie Lee Curtis, it had Donald Sutherland, it had William Baldwin. It was directed by a guy called John Bruno, who did the effects on Aliens and some other James Cameron movies that I can't remember. And yeah, it did like no real business. But a company called Resaurus really invested in this line, and it was at a time when kind of McFarlane was really big, and they were really big at doing kind of really detailed, kind of dynamically posed figures for kind of like grown-up collectors. It was kind of like the start of the kind of grown-up collector market. Now some of these are really boring figures, but some of them are really great, and I'm going to get to my favourite one at the very end because it's a really fun one. So we'll start off and we'll scan through them all just really quickly. I'm not really going to like spin them around and show all the features and everything because there's not a whole lot. So first up, we've got Richie Mason. Basically, every figure came with either a rocket launcher or a little submachine gun or kind of AK-47 like this, and all of them came with these little kind of flashlights because that's what they had in the film. It's pretty good. I like this figure. It's got like a kind of like what do you call them? Kind of like a waistcoaty kind of thing going on. There's like an extra piece which you could take off if you really want to. He's got some nice detailing on his head. Obviously, these kind of like goggles kind of strapped to his helmet. I don't think the paint job is particularly great. The really pink lips just, I don't know, make it look kind of a little bit racist. But yeah, let's move on from that. Next up, we got Kelly Foster, which was the Jamie Lee Curtis character. And sorry, I didn't mention this before, but each of them has 6 points of articulation because it's got the waist as well, so you can kind of twizzle them, make them do kind of weird kind of side things. I don't remember her being in this costume. She's got like kind of like Russian writing down the side. I don't really remember that because she was definitely an American. It's not a great Jamie Lee Curtis either face. I mean, she had kind of short hair like this, but it's not fantastic. So we'll move on. Next up, we've got Steve Baker, which was the William Baldwin character. Again, it's not a great William Baldwin face. It's a pretty dull figure. There's no real, there's some detailing and stuff, but there's not kind of like extra bits of costume or anything. Yeah, just a very kind of blank face. Okay, next up we've got Squeaky, which was one of the characters who gets turned into a cyborg, kind of from the movie, and it's got this very nice kind of detailing on his head, kind of wires poking out and stuff. That's very cool. I like this figure a lot, but it's not my favourite. The next two are my favourite. The next two are basically what make this line my favourite line. Okay, next off we've got Captain Alexei. Now, I remember a lot of gory cyborgs from this movie. I don't particularly remember this one especially, but this is pretty representative of the kind of grossness that the characters had in the film. So he's actually got, his AK-47 is actually welded to his arm there. His legs aren't great, they don't really stand up that well. Kind of Terminator-y kind of style, very Terminator-y legs. Now this is the great bit. You can actually pull off his face to reveal his lungs, heart and skull, and then also the skull and spine come off. And you can have just his skull and spine on the floor somewhere and just have him kind of carry on like the Terminator. Okay, now we come to my favourite figure of the line. It's Donald Sutherland, and oh my word, that is a really good Donald Sutherland face. really, really good. He's got this weird kind of arm here where he doesn't grip. It's kind of like in a, kind of like knocking on a door kind of arm. He's got this kind of plastic kind of coat, and then he's got like a kind of cloth piece to represent the shirt underneath. Now, this figure comes with a whole bunch of accessories that you can take off and pull on, because basically what happens in the film is that Don Sutherland makes a deal with the virus and gets turned into a cyborg. So you can pop his arm off there, pop his arm off there, and pop his head off too. Take his coat off, like so. As you can see, the coat is actually just an armless piece, and the shirt is just literally just a piece of fabric. Now he comes with his own arms that you can put back on. And as you can see, underneath everything, it's the really gory kind of cyborg version. Let me just find his other arm, which has gone walkabout. Get his head on. And here's his other arm. Sorry, that just went missing for a second there. And there we have a zombie Don Sutherland. How cool is that? I mean, you know me, I love figures where you can take little bits of clothing off and put them back on. This is super, super fun. But we're not finished, because each figure came with a little bit of something called the super virus. Basically, there were loads of, in the film, there were loads of kind of little robot kind of things. So there's kind of 3 pieces here that kind of, each bit came with a figure, and you kind of click them together to make this kind of figure, and also this kind of figure, and I think this slots in here. Now there are some holes here, and I can't figure it out because I have all the figures now, and yeah, I can't figure out what was meant to go there. There's a picture that shows like a little bit of like a skull. I just can't figure it out unless that's meant to go in there. No, I don't know. Anyway, that's as complete as you get for the super virus. Let's just pan out and get like a full shot of that. So that's your super virus figure. Now, you'd be thinking, okay, well, you know, it's a small movie, that's great. They made a few figures, whoop-de-doo. No, they made more. They made, basically in the film, it finishes with a version of the alien, you know, the alien queen in Aliens. Basically, they ripped off the same thing and had a giant robot called the Goliath, which was basically like a robot version of the alien queen. And look how far I have to zoom out in order to fit this thing in. They made a figure of the Goliath. It's humongous, absolutely humongous. It says age 10 and up in the packaging. It comes in an exclusive figure called Nadia. I don't remember Nadia from the film. I've watched this film like maybe 3, maybe 4 times. It's just so funny. It's the goriest kind of cyborg, and it's like small parts, not suitable for children under 3. No shit, it's an 18 rated film with the electronic sounds from the Universal Studios feature film. So we'll just kind of pan around this because there's not a lot of these actually available. Like I've seen like 2 or 3 of these the whole time I've been on eBay for like 15 years. And there's the back, kind of going through all the figures and characters you can get, all the viruses. So yeah, I've got all these viruses and they don't quite look right. And just some of the figures, showing you how it works. So it's got movable arms. It's over 14 inches tall, apparently. It's got a 360 rotating waist. It's authentically styled from the movie, and it's got 3 authentic sounds from the movie. Now, my version does not seem to be making sounds. I don't know if the battery needs cleaning or the battery unit needs cleaning. But let's get it out of the box and have a look at it, because it's amazing. Right, this is the Goliath figure. This is probably the biggest toy that I own. The paint job is not that great, particularly when we get around the back, which I'll get to in a bit. But yeah, so it comes with Nadia, this exclusive female figure, which is basically just seems to be the Kelly figure with a different head. And the face is really bad. It's not good at all. As I say, it's a long time since I've seen this film. I don't quite remember this character, but I guess she was in it. So what have we got? So it's got these kind of two arms here that go up and down, in and out there. This bit's got kind of like a claw kind of crab thing, which you cannot move. It does twist all the way around. You need to kind of lift the legs. The legs are on kind of a ball joint, and I have actually damaged this just because it's been in the packaging so long. I mean, it's like 20 years old now. Where are we? 2019 now. This came out in 1998. It's got these little arms here, which are reused versions of the Dawn with Sutherland zombie arms, I think, that you can put guns in. The head kind of twists slightly from side to side, and the whole thing does rotate. Oh, here we go. You can see kind of like skulls and stuff. This is what I mean. At the back, they haven't really done a great job with the paint job. I've seen other people do custom paint jobs on this, and it does look really, really spectacular once you get it all done. This, I think, is the button to make it talk, but I don't think mine talks. Yeah, I think I took the batteries out in the end, because I think they might have oxidized inside. Anyway, turn him right the way round. Please don't break, please don't break. Yeah, and that is the Goliath figure. As you can see, we're on like the four ball joints here, and then the legs kind of twist out. So it's kind of like a giant crab kind of thing. It's great for posing. It's not good for play, but I just love it. Honestly, I just absolutely love it. I love that this exists for such an obscure movie. They really just went all out and just made everything from the movie. You get so many films where they don't bother making the really hard stuff, and this was one movie where they did make hard stuff, and it obviously didn't sell. But yeah, I love that it exists. I love that I have this. I was so happy when I found this on eBay and someone selling me it for a great price. So yeah, that is the Virus figure line. If you even remotely like this movie or just like giant robots, I really recommend getting it. I'm probably going to do a custom paint job on this at some point, just because it can look so much better